They told you that time moves forward like a straight line, but you already know deep down that this moment isn't just another step in the march of hours. It's a crossroads, and I need you to hear this, not casually. Not like another motivational video you'll forget in 10 minutes, because your future self is not whispering. They are begging you not to walk past this exact second, because what you do here decides whether you align with the life that has been chasing you or keep circling the patterns that have drained you. I don't believe you stumbled on these words by chance. You've been pulled here, through the missed calls, the endless scrolling, the pressure of that bill waiting on your desk, the silence after sending a message that never got answered. Every one of those frustrations was a breadcrumb designed to lead you right now to this exact point. And let me be clear, this isn't about forcing yourself into another success mindset or pretending you're grateful when you're exhausted. This is about recognizing that your life has already branched into infinite versions. And one version of you, the one that already rose above survival, the one who isn't waiting, the one who is living in the current you secretly dream about, is standing at the threshold. They've been holding the door open, but they can't drag you through. That choice belongs only to you. And here's the paradox. It's not going to come through effort or strain. It's going to come through something far stranger and far simpler, understanding how your very presence bends reality itself. That's where we begin. Think of your life like a radio. You've been tuning through stations without even realizing it. Static, commercials, half songs, the noise of struggle and delay. But hidden among all that, there's a frequency that is already broadcasting the life you keep imagining. And here's the strange part. You don't create that future out of thin air. It's already on the airwaves. Your only task is to align your dial to it. Science has shown us something called the observer effect. The act of noticing changes the outcome. It's as if reality itself waits for your signal. Not your wish list, not your desperation, but the actual frequency of your being. When you're aligned, your nervous system, your emotions, even the microsignals in your body start transmitting a coherent message. The field responds not to what you think you want, but to the station you're tuned to. Maybe you've felt this. The moment you finally let go of obsessing over a text and suddenly it arrives, the instant you stop forcing an idea and the inspiration drops in. That wasn't chance. That was you, without knowing it, moving your internal radio to the right band. But here's where most people get stuck. They twist the dial violently, trying to jump to the perfect frequency in one move. They push, they force, they demand, and what happens? More static, more noise, because the radio doesn't respond to strain. It responds to precision, to attunement. This is why your future self is begging you to pause right now, because the signal is strong. I can feel it for you. And yet, you've been standing in the static, thinking the static is reality. I'll tell you something that may shock you. The biggest myth you've been told about manifestation is that you call in your future by visualizing harder, by scripting longer, by acting as if until you collapse. That's not how the station works. The truth will sound almost too simple when I reveal it. And once you see it, you'll realize why so few ever reach this level of alignment. Because the real secret isn't about reaching for the broadcast. It's about something so subtle, so hidden in plain sight, that most people miss it for their entire lives. The myth is this, that you manifest by chasing after the signal, as if the future were something distant, waiting on the other side of hard work or long rituals or the next vision board. But think of a radio again. You don't run toward the station. You don't beg it to play your song louder. The broadcast is already pouring through the room, whether you notice it or not. The only variable is you. This is why I told you earlier, what you want is not outside of you. It's already present, waiting in the invisible field. The station is playing right now. You've just been dialed slightly off, living inside static, confusing the noise for the truth. Let me give you a very human example. Imagine you're waiting for a reply to a message you sent, maybe to someone you care about, or maybe for an opportunity you need. Hours pass, then days. That silence begins to eat at you. You start checking your phone obsessively, refreshing, wondering if you said something wrong. The more you watch, the heavier it feels. That waiting, that spiral, is static. You're broadcasting need, doubt, and fear. The signal becomes scrambled. But then, there's that one moment where you give up for a while. You sigh, drop the phone on the table, go make tea, and almost magically the notification appears. Why? Because in that pause, you shifted, not by accident, but by momentarily slipping into alignment. Your nervous system relaxed. The station could come through. This is the hidden pattern. It's not about chasing. By chasing, you jam your own frequency. By softening, by remembering that the music is already here, you begin to receive. I know how radical this sounds if you've been taught otherwise. You've been told to hold your vision tighter, to never let it go, to push through resistance. But here's the quantum truth. Reality bends not to obsession, but to coherence. And coherence is subtle. It's like the tiny movement of the dial that clears the static in an instant. No explosion, no dramatic effort. Just click me and suddenly the song is clear, as if it had been waiting all along. So the real secret is this. Your task isn't to force reality into shape. Your task is to remember you're the tuner, not the pursuer. But there's a reason this feels so difficult, even when you know it. There's one invisible barrier, woven into your body itself, that decides whether you can hold the frequency or fall back into static. And if you don't learn to master this barrier, no amount of visualization will matter. That invisible barrier is not a lack of willpower. It's not that you don't want it enough. It's your nervous system. Most people never connect the dots. They think manifestation is all about thought and belief. But your nervous system is the actual gatekeeper. It decides whether your body can hold the signal of a new timeline or whether you'll collapse back into survival static. Think about it. If your body is in fight or flight, shallow breathing, heart racing, jaw tight, the only frequency you're broadcasting is danger. Even if your mind is chanting affirmations, the field is registering incoherence. You're transmitting two different stations at once, and the result is nothing but noise. This is why alignment feels so fleeting. You glimpse clarity, then lose it. You taste possibility, then doubt floods back in. It's not because you're broken. It's because your nervous system hasn't been taught that it's safe to hold the signal. Safety is the foundation of coherence. When the body feels safe, the heart and brain synchronize. Their rhythms literally shift into harmony, broadcasting a signal strong enough for the quantum field to lock onto. That's when the station clears. That's when synchronicity happens. So let's do something right now. Just a 30-second practice. Wherever you are, soften your shoulders. Notice your breath. Don't try to change it yet. Just feel it. Place one hand gently on your chest. And for the next few inhales, imagine you're breathing directly into your heart. Slow, even, steady. As you exhale, imagine static draining out of your body. The doubt, the urgency, the noise. With each inhale, feel your chest warm slightly, as if a quiet signal is starting to hum there. 30 seconds of this changes everything. It tells your nervous system, I am safe now. And in that safety, your frequency becomes precise. You are no longer two stations at once. You are tuned. This is the missing key most people never hear. They try to think their way into manifestation, but their body keeps pulling them back to the old station. Until the body believes, the field doesn't respond. And once the body does believe, reality moves shockingly fast. But here's where most people stumble next. They confuse temporary states of calm or inspiration with a true identity shift. They experience moments of clarity, but because they don't anchor it as who they are, they slip right back into static. And this is where your future self is watching most closely. There's a trap almost everyone falls into when they first taste coherence. You feel calm, you breathe into your heart, maybe synchronicity shows up, a text arrives, money appears just in time, a wave of relief washes over you, and you think, I've done it, I'm aligned. But here's the danger. That was a state, not an identity. A state is temporary. It's like catching a song by accident while you're spinning the dial. For a few moments, the music is clear. But if you don't realize that you are the tuner itself, the static returns as soon as you shift back into old habits, old beliefs, old nervous system loops. This is why people get frustrated. They meditate once, feel incredible, then wake up the next morning and feel empty again. They journal, they script, they visualize. It works briefly, but slips away. The station fades, and they think, maybe I'm not meant for this. Maybe I don't deserve it. But the truth is simpler and far more empowering. You don't manifest what you want. You manifest what you are. That's the difference between a passing state and a stabilized identity. When coherence becomes who you are, not just what you occasionally touch, the field has no choice but to lock onto your signal. It stops being fragile. It becomes inevitable. Think of your future self for a moment. They aren't trying to stay aligned. They don't work hard to hold the signal. It's simply their baseline identity. Their nervous system lives there. Their choices flow from there. Their reality reflects it without effort. This is what your present self is being invited into. Not a fleeting taste, but a permanent retuning. The moment you shift from visiting coherence to becoming coherence, the static can't claim you anymore. But here's the cliff most people stop at. They nod, they say, okay, I'll embody it. But they don't realize identity isn't just about who you feel like today. It's about the timeline you declare as yours. And this is the true initiation. The recognition that your identity doesn't just shape your moods, it shapes which version of reality you actually step into. Because right now, you are standing in a field of infinite stations. Each one is broadcasting a version of your life, and the dial doesn't move by force. It moves by the identity you anchor into. I'll show you how identity doesn't just change how you feel, it changes the very timeline you're living inside of. Let's make this real. Every identity you wear is like a station on the dial, and each station is already broadcasting a complete timeline, a chain of events, opportunities, and synchronicities that fit perfectly with the signal. If you see yourself as the one who is always behind, then you're tuned into a timeline where bills arrive faster than money, where delays pile up, where you feel like you're constantly catching your breath but never arriving. But shift identity, even slightly, and the timeline shifts with it. The outer world reorganizes to reflect the broadcast. It can't help it. Take money, for example. Picture this. A bill shows up and your body instantly tenses. Your chest gets tight, your breath shallow, the thought slams in. I don't have enough. That identity, in that instant, is the one who lacks. That signal locks you onto the timeline of scarcity, where every next event seems to confirm your fear. Now imagine another version. Same bill, same envelope. But this time, instead of collapsing, you pause. You breathe into your heart. You remember the radio. You whisper to yourself, I am the one who meets life with trust. Notice what happens. It's not that money instantly materializes in your hand, but the field starts to shift. An unexpected refund, a side opportunity, a sudden idea, or even just the weight lifting off your nervous system. That's the other timeline starting to bleed in. You tuned differently, so reality reorganized differently. This is why identity matters more than temporary practices. A visualization without identity is like tuning for a second, hearing half the chorus of your song, then spinning the dial back to static. But when you embody identity, the dial locks. The song doesn't cut out. And here's the strange part. You've already felt this. Think back to a time when you were in character, maybe confident during an interview, or deeply creative in a project, or fully present with someone you love. In that moment, your identity shifted, and life responded. Opportunities opened, people leaned in, inspiration surged. That wasn't luck, that was timeline selection. So here's the choice your future self is begging you to see. Identity isn't just self-image. It's the mechanism by which you decide which universe you wake up inside tomorrow. But knowing this isn't enough. You need tools, anchors, ways to stabilize this so it's not just theory, but lived practice. Because without anchors, the static of old conditioning will keep pulling you back. And that's why I want to give you a mini protocol. Something simple, repeatable, to keep your dial steady no matter the noise. You don't stabilize a new identity by willpower alone. You stabilize it by creating anchors, practices that remind your body and mind, this is who I am now. Without anchors, the old signal will pull you back into static before you even notice. So let me give you a mini protocol, a toolkit you can use daily to keep your dial tuned. Tool 1, Heart Breath Reset. We began this earlier, but let's deepen it. A few times a day, stop whatever you're doing. Place your hand on your chest. Slow your breath and imagine inhaling directly through your heart. This sends a signal to your nervous system that it's safe, and when the body feels safe, coherence rises naturally. Think of this as clearing the static from your inner radio. Tool 2, Identity Statement. Words are signals. Every time you declare I am, you are transmitting to the field. So choose one identity statement that matches your future self. Not a wish, not a someday. A present broadcast. For example, I am the one who lives in overflow. Or, I am the one who trusts the unfolding. Say it out loud each morning as if you're announcing your station. Tool 3, Micro-embodiment identity isn't just words. It's posture, movement, energy. Choose one small action that your future self would already embody, and do it daily. It could be the way you carry yourself when you walk into a room, or the way you prepare your morning drink, or the decision to pause before reacting. These micro-actions are physical proof to your nervous system that you are the new station. Tool 4, Signal anchor ritual. This one is powerful. Each time you catch yourself slipping into static, doubt, fear, urgency, pause. Touch your heart, close your eyes, and whisper your identity statement once. Then, imagine the dial clicking back to the correct station. Feel the relief of the music returning. This single ritual rewires the moment of collapse into a moment of return. Now here's what I want you to do right now. In the comments, declare it. Write the words, "I am already living my future." Let the quantum field register your declaration. Your words are not just text on a screen, they are a broadcast, and every person who joins in amplifies the coherence of this field we are creating together. These tools may seem simple, but simplicity is the language of the quantum. The more precise the signal, the stronger the alignment. Still, even with these tools, there are obstacles, subtle sabotages that sneak in and distort your frequency without you realizing. If you don't learn to spot them, they'll keep dragging you back into static. And they show up in 3 very specific ways. Every person who reaches for alignment eventually meets the same 3 traps. They're sneaky because they masquerade as trying harder or staying focused. But in truth, they are distortions that pull you right back into static. The first trap is urgency. It sounds like, "I need this now." If it doesn't happen fast, it means it's not working. Urgency squeezes your nervous system into panic. And panic broadcasts only one message: I am not safe. When you send that frequency, the field reflects more situations that prove your fear right. More delays, more stuckness, more reasons to worry. The antidote to urgency is trust. Each time you feel that pressure rising, return to the heart-breath reset. Slow down the tempo. Remind yourself, the broadcast is already playing. You don't demand a song from a radio station. You relax and listen until it comes through. The second trap is split signals. This happens when part of you says, "I believe I can have this," but another part whispers, "What if I can't? What if I don't deserve it?" The signal fractures. It's like trying to tune 2 stations at once. All you hear is noise. Split signals aren't fixed by suppressing doubt. They're healed by coherence. When doubt arises, instead of fighting it, place your hand on your chest, acknowledge the doubt softly, and then reaffirm your identity statement. This integration keeps the dial steady instead of jerking back and forth. The third trap is over-control. This is the urge to micromanage the how. How will the money arrive? How will they reply? How will the opportunity show up? That over-control strangles the flow. Remember, the station is already broadcasting the full song. You don't need to play every instrument yourself. Your only task is to hold the dial steady. Identity, coherence, presence. The field orchestrates the rest in ways you could never plan. When you learn to spot these traps, you stop falling into the endless cycle of push and crash. You begin to see urgency, split signals, and over-control not as proof of failure, but as reminders to return to your tuning ritual. They become part of the practice, not obstacles to it. And once you've cleared these sabotages, something extraordinary happens. Alignment no longer feels like a practice you do. It becomes the way you move through ordinary life. Every breath, every walk, every conversation turns into an act of coherence. But here's where the leap becomes even more profound. Because daily life itself, the way you eat, walk, speak, becomes the broadcast that rewrites your future. And when you truly understand this, you'll realize there is no practice and life. There is only one continuous signal. And that's where we go. This is the turning point most people miss. Coherence is not meant to live only in meditation or during a ritual or in the quiet moments when you feel safe. It is meant to infuse the ordinary. The future self you're aligning with doesn't breathe into their heart only when they're anxious. They breathe coherence into the way they stand in line at the store, into the way they answer a text, into the way they prepare food. Let me show you how simple it can be. When you walk, instead of rushing from place to place, feel each step as if you are broadcasting stability into the ground. Walk like the future you already arrived. The field reads that. When you eat, don't just consume quickly. Pause, breathe into your chest, and send gratitude into the food. Not forced gratitude, but the recognition that nourishment is proof of the station already playing. When you're in a conversation, notice the urge to react quickly. Instead, let your heart breath create a tiny pause before your words. That pause carries coherence. Others feel it, often without knowing why. They suddenly trust you more, soften more, lean in. And even in the small, hidden actions, brushing your teeth, washing dishes, tying your shoes, you can treat them as tuning moments. The future self doesn't separate the sacred from the mundane. They know every act is a signal. Here's what happens when you live like this. The line between practice and life dissolves. You stop asking, am I in alignment right now? Because alignment is no longer something you dip into. It becomes the baseline. Static loses its grip. But something remarkable happens at this stage. The coherence you broadcast doesn't just shift your personal life, it begins to spill outward. Suddenly, relationships start evolving. Creativity feels different. Your body responds differently. Life itself seems to organize around the station you're holding. This is the moment where your future self is leaning in most urgently. Because if you recognize this next truth, your entire life field, love, purpose, health, expansion, can transform faster than you've ever dared to believe. And the truth is this: once coherence becomes your baseline in daily actions, the station doesn't just play in the background anymore. It amplifies into every domain of your existence, reshaping them from the inside out. What begins with a breath can ripple into your destiny. By now, you've seen how coherence begins in the body, in the breath, in the micro moments. But when you stabilize it, something extraordinary unfolds. Every domain of your life starts to reorganize around the new frequency. Take relationships. When you're broadcasting static, interactions are laced with tension, miscommunication, mistrust, waiting for the other person to prove something. But when you embody coherence, you don't need to grab for validation. People feel it. They feel safer with you, more drawn to you because your field is steady. You stop broadcasting lack and begin transmitting trust, and the connections you attract shift accordingly. Now consider creativity. Static is the enemy of flow. When you're in self-doubt, ideas feel blocked. You overthink, you compare, you stall. But coherence clears the channel. Inspiration arrives, not as a forced effort, but as a natural current. Projects move forward, synchronicities appear, collaborators surface. Your creativity begins to mirror the station of your identity. Let's move into health. Your body is not separate from the signal you hold. Stress frequencies distort its rhythm, and static often shows up as tension, fatigue, or symptoms that repeat. But coherence brings regulation. The heart and brain sync, hormones balance, recovery speeds up. Even how you digest food changes. It's not magic. It's your biology responding to a new broadcast. And then there's purpose. When you're tuned into static, you chase purpose like it's missing. What am I supposed to do? What's my calling? But when coherence is your identity, purpose begins to reveal itself. It shows up as clarity, attraction, and recognition of the path already laid out. It's not discovered by force. It emerges naturally from resonance. Let me give you a very modern scenario. Picture yourself scrolling late at night. Post after post, you compare. Their success, their beauty, their milestones. Each swipe amplifies static. You feel smaller, farther behind. That spiral is a broadcast. I am not enough. But coherence shifts even this. Imagine instead you catch yourself in the scroll. You pause, breathe into your chest, whisper your identity statement. I am already living my future. The comparison doesn't hook you. Suddenly those posts don't feel like threats. They feel like evidence of the timeline you're already tuned to. Proof that the station is playing louder and louder. This is the expansion your future self sees for you. Not just peace in small moments, but transformation in the vast arenas of life, love, creation, vitality, calling. But there's an even deeper layer most people resist, a paradox that feels almost impossible. That true power in this quantum dance doesn't come from controlling, but from surrendering. And once you understand this paradox, the leap into your future self becomes unstoppable. Up to now, we've spoken about coherence as tuning the radio of your being. Precision, breath, identity, daily actions. But there's a dimension deeper still, one your future self is urging you to see. Because even when you learn to tune, even when you practice, there can remain a subtle grip, a hidden thought whispering, I'm the one in charge. I'm the one forcing this outcome. That grip creates resistance. And resistance, no matter how small, distorts the signal. The paradox is this: your greatest power in the quantum field is not in controlling the station. It is in surrendering to the song already being played. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means stepping back into trust so complete that your body, your heart, your mind all release the need to manipulate the how. When you surrender, You become the clearest possible vessel for the broadcast. And in that clarity, life orchestrates outcomes that are larger than anything your limited mind could script. Think of it this way. When you grip the radio dial tightly, trying to hold it still, your hand shakes and the sound wavers. But when you let go and simply trust the tuner to rest in place, the music becomes crystal clear. This is the leap from coherence to remembrance, because your future self already knows the song. They are not straining to find it. They are resting inside it. They are listening, dancing, moving with it. This is why surrender is not weakness. It is the ultimate frequency of safety, trust, and belonging. When you surrender, you are telling the quantum field, I am already held. I am already guided. I am already aligned with the greater intelligence moving through me. And what happens then? Life bends in ways you could never engineer. The missed message turns into the perfect timing. The bill that felt heavy reveals a hidden blessing. The comparison scroll that once drained you transforms into evidence of the timeline calling you higher. Your role is not to control the mechanics of manifestation. Your role is to surrender into the identity that already knows it is done. To allow yourself to be carried by the intelligence that orchestrates stars, galaxies, and heartbeats. Because when you surrender fully, you don't just manifest, you remember. And this remembrance, this moment of yielding into the larger rhythm, is what seals the bridge to your future self. But there is one final image, one final message your future self has been holding back until now. The invitation that will close the loop and open the door. And when you hear it, you'll understand why this moment is the one you cannot afford to miss. This entire time, your future self has been trying to reach you like a song playing in the background of your life. Every struggle, every delay, every moment of silence you thought was emptiness. It was all the static that brought you here, to this exact moment, so you could finally hear the signal. The truth is simple, yet it changes everything. The broadcast was never missing. You were never chasing something far away. The station has always been humming through the quantum field, waiting for you to tune, to align, to recognize yourself as the tuner, not the seeker. Picture this. You sit in a quiet room. The radio is on the table. For years you spun the dial wildly, frustrated, desperate for the right song. And then, in this moment, your hand steadies. You breathe. You align. And suddenly the static vanishes. The music comes through. Clear, full, undeniable. That's what your future self has been begging you not to miss. The instant the song of your destiny becomes audible. And from this moment on, the choice is yours. You can step back into static, treating this as just another video you heard once and forgot. Or you can decide, this is the moment I tune for good. The breath in your chest is your tuner. The coherence in your heart is your dial. The identity you claim is the frequency that locks you into the timeline where your future self is already living, waiting, smiling because you finally arrived. And I want you to carry one image with you. Every time you pause, breathe, and declare your identity, imagine your entire life field adjusting like a radio locking onto its perfect station. No more noise, just the song that was always yours. The future you isn't distant anymore. They are here in this exact frequency whispering, you ascended, you arrived, and you did not miss the moment.